Roll call.
1 second.
1 second. It's a minute late. I'm just harassing you. You know that.
Ms. Pierce? Mrs. Shepherd? Mrs. Dineno?
Present.
Ms. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Holton? Here. Mrs. Burdick? Here. Chairman Yem?
Here. Then noted you have a request from Mrs. Shepherd and Mrs. Pierce, right?
Yeah, Mrs. Pierce said she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to attend,
So, as noted.
but asked for excused absence. She didn't show up, so.
All right, citizens input. We have so many citizens today.
Next.
New business, none. Old business. I think we should approve the minutes, huh? That's what happens. I got everything but the...
You're flying here.
Sir?
You're flying.
Yes. Okay. The minutes for Tuesday, April 5th. Anybody have anything? Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. All right, now we can go on to new business. Oh, we've had new business.
Can we go back to the old? Can we ask Rob how it was accepted?
What's that?
Did he go back? Did he hear any negative or
She's
positive?
asking about the old business.
Yeah.
She's moving ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
She's with you. You guys are together, actually. You're in sync.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. Start it off.
Just to let you know that we met with the city manager regarding our budget, and it looks like right now that we're looking at a flat budget. We met with.
Yes, we're on.
Are they on?
Yeah, I think you are.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Now we got it. Met with the city manager, and it looks like we're looking at more of a flat budget. I know that the staff had plenty of recommendations, and at this time, most of the recommendations that they were asking for were in our 5-year capital, and I guess we can go through each one of them if you'd like.
I would like.
Okay.
Would everybody else like?
Sure.
Okay. You want to start? You have the, it's in the minutes. Mm-hmm. To run.
Okay. Let's see. So the first one was about a larger parent viewing room and center stage building. One of the things that we asked for in next year's 5-year capital budget, which we had put in last year, which we'll be putting again this year, was to do one of two things. Either expand the current center stage building the way it is, or we have another building that we had talked about at our last meeting that is still a possibility. Right now, the permitting plans and the idea of going out to inspect those buildings is with our purchasing department for them to check on the bid that the person had put in and what they would do with that building, what they can do and assess that building.
Is Mr. O'Connor coming, you think?
I think so. I know that he has a lot on his plate, and I know that he has to leave early. But the bottom line right now with that building is that we're just waiting on purchasing to assess the proposal from one of the engineers to inspect that building.
So here's my. Somehow, can we coordinate what you're doing budget-wise with what the staff suggestions, recommendations were? You know, as we go through it.
Yeah.
Or do you want to do them separately?
Well, I am. I'm kind of going through. I saw my name, and then I see Shelby Nicholson, and the first thing she asked about is the larger parent viewing room in the center stage building.
Right.
And so I went right into the center stage.
So that's on budget for this year, right?
That's in for the 16-17 budget, next year's budget.
Starting October.
Correct.
Okay.
She also mentioned covering a basketball court at Leisure Square. I have that in the 2021 budget, which I will be proposing as part of our budget moving forward. An awning at the main entrance to the center stage building. Right now, we have that in our awnings project, which is going to be in the 2016-17 budget.
All awnings, there are multiple awnings in that request, right?
I'm sorry?
Multiple, not just.
Yes, multiple at Leisure Square. That's correct.
All right, can I back up 1 second?
Sure.
Prior to your coming in, we had mention of the big building over at the power plant. My question is, would it help if we made a motion as well as informing this commission of what it really would involve?
Yes, if that is something the Recreation Commission wants, they could make that motion and make the request of doing it. Now, it's my understanding, Rob, we have challenges with planning and zoning. Is that still the case?
That's one.
Where you want to locate it?
That's one.
And then the moving of the building, pouring
That's
of the
another.
slab, and that kind of stuff. I think I can get the building moved through the electric department. Pouring of the slab would fall down on a recreation budget issue.
And we have John O'Brien right now from purchasing assessing the contractor, the proposed contractor's permitting and what it would, he wants to do an inspection of the building and make sure it's sound to be taken down and then relocated.
But a vote from the Recreation Commission, I think, would be very important to endorse what we're doing.
Could you start all that over? Because I'm lost.
Yeah, I understand. Go ahead and describe the building, Rob, and
You're going to move a building from the power plant over to the recreation, to Leisure Square?
An 8,000 square foot metal building that is over at the power plant. And it looks like a sound building and it's 20, 25 feet high.
it's a metal building.
It's a metal building. And of course, we would have to comply with everything the city.
Where's that going to
would
go?
need. We're looking at that being at Leisure Square.
Next to center stage, right?
Yeah.
You have to pay for extra patrolmen and traffic lights and,
What, to
No.
move it?
yeah.
No, they're going to dismantle.
No,
They would
they'll
dismantle it.
dismantle it.
Yeah.
Dismantle.
What
And
would it be used for, Rob?
It would be used, that would be the expand of your center stage.
Stage.
And also we could do performances in there. There would be, that would also allow us, one of the things that was brought up at our last meeting also was the idea of where we could put summer camp, because now summer camp would then could go in either or building, one or the other, whether it's in center stage or whether it's in that new building. We would also add, we would be able to add more gymnastics, performing arts programs into one or the other, and this would allow them to also, I know sometimes they may actually duplicate services, one over at Community Center, maybe one over at Leisure Square at Center Stage. Now they can do that all right there and work with each other.
And it'll also have space for Bob and Chuck,
Correct.
since they're being kicked out, or that Dodgertown will no longer be available to them.
Oh, really?
Dodgertown is on the block, right?
Yes.
So thank you, that's right. Dodgertown, the building where we have our storage and everything of our recreation stuff is on the block.
So moving that
So
building would solve a lot of
that
problems.
would help solve a lot of problems, and that would also consolidate our space with our group.
So what are your barriers? You're talking about planning. The cost of the pad, which I think you can incorporate in your budget, right?
Right.
The planning department talking about the type of use of space and the metal building being located over there. That will be something we'll have to work through the P&Z folks with. But Tim's aware of what we're talking about and trying to figure out where we can go.
All right, so what kind of motion do you need from us?
Just that you endorse the request from the recreation director to have that building moved to a recreational facility for use by the department.
Okay, let me open. Any more questions? It's kind of.
So would you reconfigure center stage? I mean, are these buildings going to be adjoined? It's going to be separate.
Correct.
So will it help that parent viewing area at all?
Well, what will happen is you're going from a 4,500 square foot building to 8,000 square foot building.
Yeah.
You'll have more room.
We're moving out of center stage?
Mm-mm.
Not completely. We're going to still use center stage, but
We would be able to have larger groups we wouldn't be able to have simultaneous performing arts.
Right,
your-
but the
pull your
parent
mic down.
viewing area that they keep complaining about, will that
Pull your mic.
be able to be expanded
Yes.
As a result?
In the new building, yes.
in the new building?
Yes.
And there's still yardage or acreage for the skateboard?
Yes.
Yeah, that wouldn't even
Different property.
wouldn't
Oh, I
interfere. It'd be a
love it.
different area of the property.
That's going to be awesome.
Oh, I make a motion that we endorse
Yes.
the recreation director's request that we move the 8,000 square foot building from the power plant to Leisure Square.
I second it.
Okay. We have no public comment, I'm sure.
Well, I'm all for it.
Any more discussion on it? I think we can do a voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. All right, it's good to get that out of the way.
Mr. Chairman, just as a comment, if anyone else on the Recreation Commission wants to go down there and look at the building, feel free to let Rob know. He and Ralph work out times, and we'll take you down and show you what we're talking about. But I think that was one of those buildings that was redone after the hurricane,
Correct.
so it's hurricane resistant and all that good stuff.
Correct.
The question
Good
is
idea.
how much it takes to disassemble and reassemble.
Reassemble.
Is it at the new power plant? Well, it's not new anymore, but
It's the one we're taking down.
okay, yeah.
Not the
Gotcha.
historical power plant, it's the one we're taking down.
Gotcha.
It's
What a good
actually,
idea.
it's in the
Repurposed.
northwest corner, which is in that northern gate, you know.
That's right.
As you turn in, you can see it right there.
Yep.
It's a freshly painted green building.
Yep.
But I would recommend you actually go in because it's sort of like the building down in the far corner that we're going to retain, take everything else down. That building was redone and just feel like that somebody somewhere should be able to use it. So it's now there's a lot of little buildings there that you might become attached to, but they've got to go away.
Well, maybe they can use one of those little buildings to house vehicles
See, there's
at the
the
beach.
attachment. It's
Yeah.
on its way out. Those are on the way out. So see.
Don't we need a
Everybody
shed
but
over
Sue,
at
everybody
Bethel Creek
but
House?
Sue can go down to the power plant and go through the
How many of those buildings do you think will be kept? The one you just mentioned, that could last for another 15 years probably. Yeah, all the other structures, they'll eventually be gone.
Yes, the cooling tower in the far back, we're talking to a company now that may be able to disassemble that and take it off our hands. And then the two big gas tanks will be gone. And if you go back there, you'll see there's the gas yard's what it's called. It's where we receive gas from city gas to run. All that'll be leveled out. And then where the gas tanks are, we will level all of that out. So we're hoping at the end of the day, this will just be a leveled surface in the far back. And a fence will be around the power plant, the big blue building, and then around the substation. And those will be the only two things that really will need security. And then there's a walkway along the canal that you can see. And so it's a pretty nice piece of property when you take all that stuff. But I don't think anybody can really visually see what it's like because of it looks like an industrial yard.
I haven't been down there in a few years.
Yeah, well, and you don't want to go digging around in the thing, but covering it up's not a bad concept.
What is the estimated price that will come out of the recreation budget to do all that?
Well, let me.
Don't know that.
What I was going to say is that a couple different things. In last year's 5-year capital, what we had put in for with the expansion of the center stage building was about $125,000. We also put in for another building for Leisure Square, about $140,000 for when we knew that Dodgertown was going to go. So roughly $265,000. And I don't know. We don't know right now what it will take or how much it will cost to disassemble and reassemble that building, and if it's structurally the right way to go. I know that what Jim is saying too is that this building was coming down no matter what. So, and the other thing that has to be weighed in here too, as well, is that that was last year's 5-year capital plan. This year's capital plan might be far more difficult.
It's true.
So,
We've been given pretty strict orders as to we can spend, but we can't raise.
Oh, really? Where do those orders come from?
The 5 greatest people you will ever meet.
Okay.
Still finding them.
I think what I would probably suggest for this commission is, as far as our involvement in the future development of that property, that we would schedule, once something comes back up before the commission, then we all should go down and look at it, as a group.
Okay.
Actually, I was down there today, and looked at all of it. That's where I got a little insight in some of it. But I think as we get more involved, it definitely would be to each individual's advantage to get a better idea of how the property lays out, because the way some things have been presented to us are not actually what's down there. So to be able to make your decision.
You might want to give an
You know,
example of that, what we saw today that we weren't sure about.
Yeah.
Just to give them an example of what we saw today that was not there, that we thought was there. With the
Well, the boat ramp is
boat ramp was the one where we thought there might be just a regular boat ramp, and actually there's
It's
really
a
nothing
ledge to
like
drop
that
a boat
yet.
in. In
it
essence,
can
is what
happen, but it's just not happening
It can be
now.
improved, but it's going to
It would
be
need to be a
expensive. Maybe fine would pay for or something like that. But plus, that's where it's shallow too, 3 feet. Where the existing is. So there's a lot of potential, but it's going to take a lot of effort. To get in all the things that have been spoken about. But I think from this commission standpoint, I would highly recommend that we go down there, possibly as a group. I guess you'd have to go with us, Rita, or somebody.
Keep us honest.
Right, you just call for a meeting to meet down there. It's similar. You just have, so you've done it at Leisure Square and that kind of stuff, so it'd be a similar type of.
So we could have a picnic down there.
You could, if you wish to eat at the power plant.
in November.
Well, after you clear all that and everything else down there, it would probably be appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, it'll still be disturbed earth. We're not going to go out there and sod it by any stretch, but it will be something that I think that is worth people looking at.
To get a better feeling, really, I think, of what's.
Well, absolutely. When that waterfront opens up and that walkway along it that you've seen, and you take that fence down at the canal side, and it sort of opens up, you've got 2 sides that are water, on the water, so and that canal's pretty deep there. And the vegetation's nice. I mean, it's a nice piece of property with a lot of natural vegetation. It does have some Australian pines, but.
It's got mangroves, too.
That's what?
Mangroves.
It does have mangroves. Got to be very careful with those. And it's got some beautiful oaks along the walkway.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't touch those.
Yeah.
And that whole western line has oak trees, probably like 10, 15 years old, about every 30 feet. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, they're still relatively small, but, give the presence of the
I don't think you'd want to disturb
live
them.
oaks. No, they're live. Well, we can't in our city anyway, unless somebody's prepared to replant somewhere or contribute to the fund.
So it's worth a visit, is what
Yes.
it gets down to.
Okay.
Okay, let's go
Has there
on.
been a timetable set up for moving the metal building? That would be the first thing to be going with.
No, it won't be the first. That the cooling tower will be the first thing to go. The oil tanks will be second, and then all the little brown building and the gas field will be that. I'm hoping by January that we'll have most everything out of there.
Wow.
That would be the ideal plan.
Okay, let's go on to page 2, Rob.
Yeah, with the lifeguard captain and mentioned the lifeguard tower over at Humiston. I know that with the discussion with the Vero Beach Lifeguard Association members and with the lifeguard corps, that they're still working on a plan as a group to build a much more grandiose facility at Humiston. So they're still working on that plan. So we're going to put in for the Humiston Tower for next year. Their goal is to try and raise the funds for next year. But this could be something that may take a while. So that might be one of those things that may be put off to a later date. The other thing was they asked for a shed. I have that in next year's budget. However, what I will tell you is I also have spoken with Sharkbait, and there's a good possibility that he's going to help build a building for our storage, and we may not have to pay anything on that. We're working on those logistics.
This is a shed at JC.
That's correct. For the ATV. Now, we have 2 ATVs right now. Both of them are older. One of them is really giving us a hard time, and we're going to replace the ATV in next year's budget. We asked for that in our budget for next year. Also, one of the things that the lifeguard captain had asked for was for a lifeguard supervisor to have for himself, as an assistant. We're working on a plan right now with Human Resources Department. We had a lieutenant who left the position, and we're looking at the possibility of having, instead of having a lieutenant, have an assistant lifeguard captain. We still have a lieutenant that works for us, so we think that it might be best to go with an assistant lifeguard captain. So we're working on that game plan. We're working on that right now, as a matter of fact. The radios are replaced every year, so that's ongoing. We're having that happen. In regards to another lifeguard tower, I spoke with our lifeguards earlier this month, and one of the things they said is that if we're ever looking to expand with our lifeguard towers, they think the best place to start, if we ever do it, would be Con Boardwalk on the south end of the boardwalk, not Sexton Beach, and possibly the other area is South Beach. But this is something that is going to take some time. We're right now looking at the possibility of having them guard after 5 o'clock in the evenings, maybe in the summer. We're looking at that maybe for the future next year, possibly the year after that. And the reason why we're looking at that right now is there are a lot of people that are staying on those beaches after 5 o'clock, especially in the summertime. And we are seeing growth in our community. I think we are all seeing that growth and the impact that is happening on us.
That beach at Sexton, though, is used a lot.
It is, but there's such a parking issue. And our thing is that the key thing with all of that is going to have to be the communication with the hotels, et cetera, and say, look,
Got it.
If you're going to have them in your own area, that's fine. But Humiston Beach and JC Beach, and they're really not that far away. And I think that's got to be the mindset. Because really parking is such an issue.
Yeah.
Can we post a sign on Sexton pointing both directions?
Yes.
Saying,
The other they do. And to let you know, I don't know if you noticed, there are also signs as you start heading towards Ocean Drive that now tell you guarded beaches.
Okay, respectively.
Yes. So.
Good.
Let's see. Moving on. Right now, Go Play Vero, as you all know, and we had that meeting with them in April. Looks like Troy Moody Park is their next park up on, possible park for them to help out with, which is wonderful. We know that's our next one. That is our actually next playground that needs work. So that's really helpful. One of the big things that the staff had mentioned was maintenance position. That was one of their major, if they could have anything, get a full-time maintenance person. We're in the process now of hiring a part-time maintenance worker. We have that in our budget. I will say that with a flat budget, it may be difficult for us to go with a full-time, and we totally understand that. I think the idea would be one where we start with a part-time maintenance worker, see how that goes, and then go from there. I'm really sure that down the line we will need a full-time maintenance worker.
Could you start with 2 part-time?
Yeah. I mean, I'd start with 1 and then maybe ask for a second one. Especially as you're getting your buildings back and you're starting to, you want to look at your infrastructure and protect your infrastructure, but also protect your staff from wear and tear. So I think we're going to start with one, but if we see the need for it, we'll talk to Jim and see what we can do.
I mean, it's the equivalent of one hold
Yeah, I know where you're going.
without benefits.
Yep,
It worked like a split shift. Why
Yeah.
come in half of
yep. You have two 15 or 18 hour, or two 15 or 16 hour workers, maintenance
Without
workers.
the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Rob said the benefits now are 65% of your pay.
Yeah,
So it would behoove.
on average.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you
Some
can find
lower,
two
some higher.
part-time,
That's
No.
14, 12. It's anywhere from 7 to 14, depending. Permanent part-time versus not.
yeah. Okay, keep going.
Okay, the next one was the software program. We are looking at, one of the things we were looking at, a company called Book King, and it's a lease agreement on our possible software system. When we initially looked at that, I thought the cost was far less than what I see on here for $10,000, and the idea was that they could put something together where it would be more of a lease, and we're still interested in that, and I have no problem sitting down with Jeff and seeing if we can't make that happen, because a lot of what was asked for with your rental facilities, availability, memberships was all in that software program. It's a recreation software program. So we'll look into that and see if we can't try and get that implemented here by the end of the year.
Going to cost.
Yeah, we're thinking. When I remember looking at it, I thought it was like $1,000 or $1,500, and it was like $90 or $100 a month to have it. And
Which would include
we
new-
would fall. We have that.
Would
in
that
our
include
budget.
new upgrades?
Yeah, it would.
I
It would
mean, if you leased it?
Yes. Now I'm going to double check, but I'm maybe I'm not as confident as I was, but I still think that we've got a good shot at that.
Yeah, because somebody threw out 10,000, I think Laura.
Yeah. I don't remember that number when we were talking to Book King. The other thing she had mentioned was a gazebo built on the property south of Bethel Creek House. I have that in 2021, and what that would be a gazebo, much like the gazebos we have of the Grand Pavilion at Riverside, except you only go with one gazebo. And you would try to have it raised up some on that open area so that people can have special events like a wedding or a birthday party or whatever it may be as a little bit of a. Now, the other thing that would have to come with that would be some landscaping and, of course, some ways to access it.
Right.
That would be a challenge.
Rob, can I ask you what is in the budget, your long-term budget for the rental buildings? Because they are in terrible shape.
The round buildings, you mean the
The
gazebos?
rental, the community center,
The River House.
Oh, yeah.
Bethel Creek.
Okay, let's go through it. This year, the community center, Bethel Creek House, and River House are about to have all their exteriors done. That includes painting, gazebos, any of your stucco work, any of your fill. All of that is going to be done this year. On top of that, in the community center, we're going to have the shades, the long shades.
Thank goodness.
Yes, that's for this year. In next
And the
year's
awning.
budget,
The awning is
the
coming.
awning, yeah, that's already, we're in the works of
What
having all
about
that
the
done.
Bethel Creek awning?
Yes, both of those awnings, the front and the back, are
Plus
both
Leisure
in this
Square.
year's budget. Those are all going to be done this year. Those are to be done this year.
Okay.
Next year is the floors and the doors and the windows of those facilities are all going to be done. Those are all included in those.
Because the floors is what makes the buildings look so dirty.
Correct. The other thing that's happening is we're about to have a new cleaning company as well.
Yay.
Again.
That's good.
So-
Hopefully it's good.
We'll see.
Is this an annual affair?
The cleaning company is usually 3-year contracts, but they'll last groups up the end of May.
Has anybody suggested to do anything with the community center kitchen? It is really
The floors and everything else are all part of the.
I'm talking about the sinks and the cabinets.
No, we haven't had that, but I think we can include that as part of our
Because the
projects.
sinks are backbreakers. I don't know what they were thinking when they put those in.
Yeah, it's an interesting building, isn't it? 66, right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting building. Every day is a new and unique sense. Your senses get tested each day. And I'll leave it at that. But
I know
I
what
know you
you're
know what I'm talking
talking
about. But we are looking at the inside for next year. The other thing, just to let you know too, Bobby, is we may be in a public-private. We're working on a public-private partnership on possibly the floor inside the community center.
What does that mean?
There may be a group that might be willing to put in a floor for us.
Oh,
Like
wow.
a dance floor?
Yes.
Oh, the swing
But it has to make
stations.
sure that it can handle everything that the community center handles. But they'll get the floor that they want. So we shall see. We're working on it.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Going on to, Gabby had mentioned that she was looking at the possibility of having some work done on her building. I have that in 1920 budget still for her building. That was like the doors that she had mentioned, the doors and things like that.
She also mentioned shirts.
She mentioned shirts. I've got no problem getting with Patty and seeing if we can't go get a staff shirt, one staff shirt, I think, for this year's budget. And then maybe a staff shirt for next year's budget.
Is she the only one that needs that, or do the other?
Well, we would have it would be for all the staff, because what we do with those shirts is we use them for special events.
So you have
And
to
they'll
trade
also
them
wear
around?
them sometimes too.
So you have to trade them around? No, I'm kidding.
Sometimes. No, sometimes we have. We have.
Yeah.
Are you doing tees or polos?
Oh, we were thinking probably if we're going to go with that, I would probably think about maybe one tee and one collar.
So you give them two each.
Yeah.
They
I think
used
it's a
to
better
purchase all of our staff shirts and our warm-up suits.
Remember those white ones we had with the red and
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to have warm-ups and all that. That stuff.
That's
What's
what
happened
Bobby
is
and I
that's
had to
gone.
wear.
You know, I hate to say it, but that's kind of gone the way of the dodo bird.
But it looks nice when everybody
Yeah,
is
it does.
uniform.
We like it when we have our special events to have the same kind of outfits.
Well, it's easier to identify you.
Yeah, sometimes that's
No,
good,
special
sometimes
events.
bad.
Well, Bobby and I, years ago when we worked there, we had a plain white one with a little thin red and blue stripe on the collar, and that's about it.
I'm going to start singing memories here in a minute.
Yeah.
All right. Patty had mentioned the pay increases, and one thing to say is that with a flat budget, we shall see. That's always a challenge for the staff, pay increases.
The sign.
So pretty much everything's included in your
the
most of
sign,
your 5-year
sign for
budget.
Riverside.
I'm sorry.
Sign for Riverside.
Oh, yes. Sign for Riverside. I will tell Gabby to go get the sign for Riverside. In fact, I think even during our meeting when we were together, I was kind of going like, get your sign, get your sign. But I also want to look at signs, to be honest with you. It's not just the sign that she had mentioned. I also am going to look at the signs that are on the exercise trail. Those I'm also looking at. I want to go and walk around with one individual sign company and see if they can get those built.
Those
and
benches
done.
are all covered with moss.
Something. Yeah. We can. Our
pressure
big,
clean them?
Yeah, they're going to need pressure cleaning, something fierce. I can put out. You're right about that too, Sue. Put out a note to our building maintenance department, see if they can go out and help us out there. You know, that's always one of those things where I'd love to get volunteers for that.
Yeah.
You think the
That's
high
something I think I'm going to look at for the future. I'm going to tell you that
High
right
school
now because
woodworking.
one of the things that we're seeing from our department, and we know that economics make it tough sometimes, but our building maintenance department, our maintenance department are really stretched. And if I can find projects that are not too demanding, and of course I have to get with the human resources department, of course I've got to make sure it's not going to be something where there's a safety issue. It'd be really nice if I could get some kind of volunteers to help out with projects like that.
Hey,
and
Charles,
spray washing playgrounds,
have
things
the-
like that.
Yeah, do you
Every
guys have
once
the
in a while.
equipment?
We do, and we've had to let you know. Tammy has been really good about this. When we have our United Way Day of Caring, she always asks for projects, and if we have any projects, and they've pitched in and come over and spray washed our playgrounds. They did Pocahontas Park, I know that much, and I'm not sure if they did Charles or not, but they did, and I think that's maybe where I need to lean on with some of this stuff. Unless things change with getting more workers.
Does the high school need community projects?
Yeah, the woodworking class.
They do. I get a little more concerned with that.
You don't trust them with a pressure cleaner?
I'm looking more for,
Supervision.
a little more skilled, especially with something like that. And especially around equipment and possibly around other people. Last thing I want is somebody to get pressure washed. So.
All right, we'll work on it.
That's all I have, I think.
Any questions, ideas, suggestions? So next month, we should get a more defined of what your budget request is going to be. I mean, you don't have, you got it in general, but you don't have what your real parameters are right now.
I'll be turning our budget in most of our budget in by next Friday, but I don't know when the review with Jim is going to be. Our review with the council is not until July.
Right.
The week of July the 12th. July 13th, right? Usually we meet with the city manager somewhere around the middle of June. June 13th, maybe that week. Maybe. So, but I will be putting all this stuff in. All the stuff we're talking about, I'll be putting it all in.
So what else are you going to put in?
Pay raises for everybody? I don't know. I'll just put in my thing is with a flat budget, we'll go with line items. That'll be pretty much flat line.
What you carry over from last year?
That's correct. We'll pretty much go flat. The only changes will be things that we get from various other departments that tell us how we need to change our budget. But I will be including these things that we've all talked about today.
Will we get an opportunity to look over your price sheets for next year? There were a lot of things you didn't let us move this year.
Yeah, you're talking about revenue. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to look at revenue. The one thing to let you know too, Sue, is that one of the things that you guys had approved and the council had approved a while ago was maximum rates, and our maximum rates for a lot of our facilities, et cetera, are far higher than what they are right now. And my thing is I really kind of want to get going on some increases. Not major, but some. As we're getting the work done on some of these properties, we'd like to increase the fees. Not much, but some. We also see that with your rental facilities that during the season, your Saturdays are pretty well shot. You know that. That's a given. But at the rest of the year, it may not be as much. So you can adjust accordingly with that as well. So, yeah, we can definitely go through that. I can give you all that. We can have all that.
So where's your demand?
Well, the demand right now is what we're seeing is seasonally. Let's talk about demand. Demand to me comes in a couple different waves. The waves are more this way. Community events are growing. They're happening. People are having community events. There's a lot of not-for-profits and a lot of people that want to do programs to raise funds. They love the city properties. From the performing arts gymnastics phase, I feel like it's growing. It's growing incrementally. What we're finding out is that now that we have another staff, it allows us more opportunity to have more students, which gives us a little bit more growth there. For your rentals, what we're seeing with the rentals are seasonally, you can pretty much bank on Saturdays. Also, when you look at the rental facilities, the community center is a hotbed for quinceañeras. It's a big one for that, and that's year round.
How is it working without a person there?
It's working fine because what's going on is with programming, recreation programming, we're always there. We only have a few programs there. They're all rentals. What we're finding out is that we haven't had too many problems with that at all. We've been able to work with that. As for the Leisure Square, with the work that's being done on it, it's down this year. I will tell you from the revenue side, it's down, but that's because work is being done on it, and the building really needed it, and the pool needed it. From Riverside Tennis, I think that you're seeing small growth, but included in that is pickleball, which is now a big deal for us, which is a good thing. Yes, it is. The other thing we're getting help from is our scholarship program, which is helping out because I'm getting more calls on people needing help for summer camp. So that's a big deal. Usage within our parks, beaches,
Well, how much are the scholarships?
playgrounds. I'm sorry.
How much are the scholarships?
What they are is I get donations from $50 all the way to $5,000.
What's it cost per kid?
The child will vary. What I do with the scholarship program is parents write me a letter, and what we do is the cost for a child to go to camp is $90 as a city resident, $105 as a Indian River County or out of city resident. And if a parent calls me up and says, I have a child who would like to be in the scholarship program, we have this, and they put down on the letter why they want the scholarship and what's going on in their life. And I ask them, how much can you provide us each week? It'll vary. I'll have some that they can't afford anything. I have some that can pay $50, $60, $70 a week. So what I would tell you is 90 to 105 is your max. And from your normal, I would say you're probably looking at roughly $50 a week per child. And the summer camp program is a 9-week program. Last year I had 43 requests for assistance.
This year,
43.
Right?
I'm sorry?
It's shorter this year. Schools open up a lot earlier this year.
Yeah. We go right up until school.
Oh, okay.
We're 9 weeks. The other thing I will tell you is that we had some very, very interesting stories with people who need help. Some of them would just tear you apart. But the big thing that I see now is that we're making a difference and we're making a dent with people and helping them out that really need the help.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, I'm looking at this.
Our parks, beaches, and
Multiple
playgrounds.
times.
One other thing. Parks, beaches, playgrounds, fountains. Insane. Just growing. Just had pictures of what the beaches look like at Mother's Day. We have to put another dumpster in JC. Probably going to have to put another dumpster in Humiston Beach. The beaches were packed after 5 o'clock on Mother's Day. It was an absolutely beautiful day, but I see a lot more of those beautiful days coming this summer, and I don't think that's going to change anything. So,
How do people get access to the pavilions? I mean, is there a priority, or who shows up first? How's that work?
pavilions are the rental pavilions that we have are the Grand Pavilion and the Picnic Pavilion.
Well, like J.C. Park.
All the rest of the pavilions are first come, first serve.
Okay. So you got to get there early.
Got to get there early, very early, especially on Saturdays and Sundays. Very early.
And people do it.
They do it. Yes.
All right. We've had a long meeting with nothing really scheduled.
I have one thing. I attended the Pirate Fest planning meeting yesterday,
Oh.
and they are expanding this year. last year they were in Riverside Park and in the marina. This year they're coming across the river to Royal Palm Point, and they're going to have an event in Royal Palm in the fountain area. And then they've asked the art club, excuse me, if we'd be interested in conducting an art show either on the sidewalk leading up to the entrance or on the park, the grassy area in front of the entrance. Told us we could put as many booths as we wanted.
Wow.
So, there's an opportunity there. Evidently the business owners on Royal Palm are going to have an open house on Saturday. They're all going to do it on Saturday. It's going to be optional on Sunday. But the thought is that'll bring people there. And what they're going to do is run a
Taxi.
pontoon boat, if they can get one, back and forth from Riverside Park to Royal Palm Point, and promote parking on the point side as well, and then, take some of the traffic off of the island.
Yep.
What
And
is the date of
and it's in the end of July.
July 29, 30, and 31.
That's right.
And they're talking about parking a salvage boat at Royal Palm Point.
Again, the key thing will be that they can't park it right at the point, but they can park on the side, I think. If they think they're going to park, it's only 2 or 3 feet deep. They'll get stuck.
You're talking about one of the treasure hunting salvage boats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll have an events committee meeting with them to talk about that, just to
Talk
make
about
sure
that.
they don't put it, because they
Yeah.
can't put it there.
So
Or
what
I'm
group is
thinking-
leading this?
I'm sorry.
Chamber of Commerce, the
Chamber,
Vero
Vero
Beach
Chamber.
of Commerce.
Vero Chamber.
And they have there's a group that is working with them, same people who did it last year, that are Pirate Fest promoters all over the place, and they've got all kinds of contacts. So they're they just reach out and grab. There's another ship, a tall ship, that's looking for some place to dock this winter while it gets refurbished for next season. That maybe they can get someplace over there.
And they did the event last summer, at the end of July, early August last summer.
They had 2.
And they had
When they brought the 2?
Benita.
Well, that was that they had, but the Pirate Fest itself was the end of July, early August last year.
They brought 1 boat for that one.
Yeah, maybe. I know, but they had a good crowd. They had 10 to 15,000 people attend that event. So it's a big deal. What's really kind of neat about the whole idea is that it's during a time where it's really relatively quiet. So I think it's the ideal time for everybody to have a good time and relax.
Is the city going to do 4th of July again?
4th of July, family fun and fireworks is a goal for the 4th. Yes. We are a go. And we are fortunate again to have our sponsors. Mulligan's is the big one, and then Treasure and Space Coast Radio is another one. And then there's going to be some musical acts, etc.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes. I want to say, whoever, don't we have anything to do with hibiscus? It gets better every year.
The only thing we have to do with hibiscus is that we help guide them. We're really, I know that Bobby and Tammy both had activities inside the community center that I hope went well for both.
Very well for both of us.
It seems
Great.
like it gets better every year.
Yeah, and that's
And
great. That's a good thing.
And I got high praise from Patty and Angie at Relay for Life. They did a wonderful show, and it was late when they finally got on stage.
There was like 9:30,
It was
right?
very, very good.
9:30.
And the last one is congratulations to Tammy being recognized at the runners event. They had a banquet, but an awards, and she was one of the winners. And I
Oh,
think
wow.
Tammy should be recognized.
450. Anybody else? Well, that's chance, Greg. All right. We're adjourned.